We are live. Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. Thank you so much for being here. As you can see, the guest today we have is Chad, Minimalist Carnivore.
Hello,
Chad, thank you
hello.
so much for being here.
Oh, thanks. No, this is fun.
So, we kind of want to give a little bit of time for others to get in. You know how those Fridays go. So, we want to give everyone a little bit of time, but
Nicole.
we'll eventually kick things off of giving an intro, but let's go ahead and welcome some in the chat here. Here we have Lynn. Hope you are having a great day. Cindy and Sana. Hi, everyone. Lynn, thank you so much for your continuous support. We appreciate you. Hope you
Yes.
had a wonderful week. Former fat girl, Nicole, what up, what up? Thank you so much for being here.
She did that Sean
Ricky.
Baker interview
Yeah.
today, too.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Very,
did
very
one the other day.
cool.
We were talking about it. Her and I were talking on the phone today when I was getting ready about it.
Yeah, because you also interviewed with him as
Yeah.
well. Very cool. Cindy, same. Yours was what?
Yes.
Little over a year ago, Cindy?
Mine was May of 2022.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dr. Baker interviewed me. Yeah. That was great.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Here we have Cindy's sister, Deb
Hi,
Riley.
Deb.
Hi, Cindy, Sana, and guest. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for being here. Nicole's giving you a hey, Cindy. Up, and here we have JP, the Keto Cheeto. I absolutely love that name. I love that he changes the names, but that I think is by far my favorite. We are going to rely on you to bring some humor in the chat like you always do. So it looks like we have 16 currently here. So if you want to first start off, Chad, and kind of just give everyone a little intro of you, especially for those that might not know you already.
Yeah, there's a couple here probably. Well, my name's Chad. That's a start. 60 years old, been doing carnivore just over 3.5 years. I started basically at the first of the year. So what was that? That'd be like 2019, whatever it is. Yeah, I think 2019. And I did keto for a year before that. And on that journey, the keto, I think my problem was there was too many snacks. It was like keto, chocolate chip bars, keto this. Like I said in a couple of things, I could have keto barbecue sauce. I could have keto teriyaki sauce. I could have keto teriyaki chicken. And it didn't do anything to change my habits. So I didn't really ever lose weight, but I started feeling a little better, and I love nuts, so I ate way too many nuts. And then when I found carnivore, it all kind of moved forward. But before that, yeah, married 24 years, been with her for 27, two kids, 14, 19, and been in Phoenix now for 17 years, 18 years, something like that. Phoenix, Arizona. And before that, I was on Maui, and I taught scuba out there from my 20s through my 40s. Quite a shock to come to Phoenix from Maui, but I had a health reason. I had to move the sulfur dioxide, or what they call VOG, VOG, VOG in the air, got me really sick,
Oh,
and my lungs
okay.
started failing, and it was pretty
Wow.
bad. Like I was coughing blood and passing out daily, bad.
Oh my
Ouch.
And
gosh.
when you're trying to
Wow.
teach scuba, like I had to literally get out of that almost completely because I couldn't breathe properly underwater anymore, and quite the mess. So it was time to move. And when I got here, healed up within probably, I would say, a week. But what was interesting
Mm.
is during that time, I'd started gaining weight because I wasn't active. I wasn't diving. I used to be in my 20s and 30s, 178 pounds all the time, really stable, right at that 175, 180 range. And when I got to the mainland, it was just easy to go like, oh, Costco muffins. Look at the size of those chocolate chip Costco muffins. And,
They are
oh, they
tempting.
have this cake. And oh, I can buy the pecan pie or the, for $5, you can buy this pumpkin pie that's insane. So
Mhm.
basically, I quit looking at the scale at 275 pounds because that way I didn't
Mm.
technically go over that weight in my head. And and I'd tried other things. I'd tried the green junk, juicing stuff. I tried some other things, and it just nothing really worked until the carnivore. But yeah, so that's kind of the quick of that, I guess, journey. And obviously, like everybody else, we all have unique, I guess, things that happen. Like I've had like my eye floaters, the little protein spots you see that like dust specks float in your eyes. Those have gone away. My astigmatism's gotten better. My facial hair never changed. This stayed gray, but the hair on my head, I keep it shaved really tight. And even like today, when I kind of cleaned it off again, it's darker. It's way darker. It used to be almost a little pile of gray, and now it's a pile of darker. But it didn't come back my color. It just came back darker, which is kind of a strange, kind of thing. Because it used to be more kind of blonde red, and now it's more kind of a brown with some red. And then so little things like that. But to me, I say I came in for the weight loss, and I stay because it's the fountain of youth, and I have no plans on changing out of an animal-based diet. I mean, there's just no reason to for me.
When you find something that works, you got to stick with it. That's what this is all about, is finding what works for us and going with it.
And that's what I try to say, because I've gotten more strict, if anything. The only thing I eat now is cheese that's controversial, and I eat it because I have no gallbladder, and it does help me with that, where Tudka didn't work, ox bile didn't work. Spreading out the meals kind of works, but I hate it. I like doing OMAD. And if I have to eat again, I'll eat again. So I'm not strict, like I can only eat once, I'll eat when I'm hungry, but I tend to eat enough in one sitting where I don't feel like eating again. So it's, when I say OMAD, I'm relaxed on that. If I have a good day of bicycling and doing a lot of stuff and I'm hungry, I'll go ahead and eat again. And over the years, I found if I make enough food, like I tend to eat like one chuck steak a day, or not chuck steak, but a whole chuck roast a day is about my average intake. And I tend to eat 3/4 of it and save 1/4. But what I'm doing then for that next day is I'm eating that quarter leftover, with the fresh one. And I always have that leftover, and it's worked for me because that way, if I do get hungry, I have it there ready to go and I don't have to make anything. I can just go into the fridge and grab it cold. And like today was a busy day, so I literally cooked a whole bunch on the previous day. So I cooked 2 whole things, and then I knew that way today I could just go in and grab it anytime I want. And I actually like chuck cold just as much as I do hot. It's really good, and especially if you get
bacon.
Yeah, I don't do bacon too much. I probably only do it like every 3 months, every 2 or 3 months. So I'm pretty, and I used to eat more meats. Like I used to eat tri-tips and hanger steak and, different kinds of steak, whatever, and New Yorks and T-bones or whatever. And nowadays I'm pretty much just chucking ribeye. And I don't do a lot of ribeye just because finances are tight, probably like a lot of us. We can't just afford to go. I'd love to afford just to eat 2 ribeyes a day. But when you balance it out, if you buy it on sale, I go to Sam's Club in the morning, first thing, and it's 25% off. It's not always a for sure thing, but they have it a lot for 25% off. So like the last time I went, ribeyes were $9.74 a pound, and chuck I think was $4.60 a pound on sale. And obviously, if you balance that out between the two, it's about a $6.50 a pound. So that way, I can have ribeyes still a couple of times a week, and afford them that way. And it makes it nice. So I really am pretty much just ribeye and Parmesan cheese, and that's it. But I tell people, hey, if you want to do clean keto and it's going to work, and I even say when I first started the carnivore coming off keto, I ate a lot of like pork rinds and sour cream and made chaffles. And maybe that's what made it easy. And I always say it doesn't matter because I hit my goal weight. I'm back at that 178 pounds in my 20s and 30s. So I made it. If I had done it 3 months quicker, would that really matter now? Not at all. Would it have made me feel better? I have no clue. So that shoulda, coulda, woulda. You can't go back and say that.
Exactly.
But it's also like some people need it. Like I love my carbs and I love my things, and those little chaffles. Like I said, I'd put pepperoni and mozzarella in there, and they'd be like a little pizza.
Right. Yeah.
And rather than failing outside of that carnivore or keto, you can stay inside that cheat. I still call it a crutch. If you're eating too many of them, I think you should be careful about eating too many of them. not make them a habit. It's better to fill up on the good, healthy stuff. But yeah, they're fine. And that's the thing. Everybody's on their own personal journey on this.
Yeah.
So I'm very relaxed on what people do. And sometimes I forget that I'm kind of so hardcore carnivore. When I say it, it's like just eat meat, salt, water. But if you have to do this, but it's kind of like just because I do it doesn't mean anybody. And just, and not saying me, but like Sean Baker, you wouldn't follow him just because he's doing what he's doing or somebody else. You might take it as a suggestion.
Exactly.
And
right.
then try it for yourself. But
exactly.
So that's what I'm at. And I think maybe too, it's because I've been doing it so long, I realize who cares?
And how long have you been carnivore?
3.5 years, over 3.5 years.
Amazing. Yeah, it's
so
a little over 8 months for me after 4 years keto. And
you've lost what, 105? I think in your latest little short, you said it was 105. Was that you?
Currently
right?
now, because I'm
more?
doing no dairy, so I kind of want to be able to gauge the no dairy in terms of, scale, reflecting possibly any inflammation. So 109 total pounds was what I weighed in at earlier this month. But yeah, no, it's definitely huge.
And that's awesome. That's
huge.
Because
in terms of when you think about the overall weight, absolutely.
Yeah. And how tall are you?
I'm 5 even. So that kind of, because I was very close to around the weight range that you were at. I was 283 pounds when I started keto, January of 2019.
Yeah.
So I was 283 pounds on 5 feet. Yeah, it was not pretty.
And
it was not
like
pretty.
I said, when I quit weighing, I still definitely put on more. I don't think I hit 300. I'm pretty sure I didn't, but I was probably close. And I'm 5'11", and I have a decent size frame already. You saw those other pictures of me. I'm not a skinny built guy. And when I saw that, even today, I saw that because it came up on the feed, and I'm like, wow, that's pretty impressive. See, I thought you were going to be like 5'3", 5'4", because it's hard sometimes to tell from the pictures.
I am like literally exactly. I just have a little bit that sets me right at 5 foot. So even my almost 15-year-old son, he is taller than me already. And my 6-year-old, he's 6.5. He is like literally at my halfway mark.
Yeah. See, my boy who's 14 is as tall as me now.
Wow. We have our first question. So Nicole's asking for all the panel members, if you could only eat one meal for the rest of your life, what would it be? So I'm curious if you're going to mention one of those meals that you shared. You incorporate.
I would just say meat, but to be specific on the meat, it would be ribeye.
Ah, good choice.
And it would be very rare, almost to what they call blue.
Yeah.
Because I actually like blue steak or very rare steak.
Yummy, yummy. Cindy, what about you, Cindy?
That's a tough one. Because steak and
you
eggs
gotta pick one.
Steak and eggs is good.
Yeah.
I could do that. But for the rest of my life,
that's a meal right there.
Because I like the other stuff,
For me, any cut of lamb. I am part Turkish and part Indian, so best believe I grew up on tons and tons of lamb, and I absolutely love it even to this day. So yes, any cut of lamb would be my go-to. It is just such fatty, yummy, meaty goodness.
I'm going to say something about lamb. I haven't had it in forever, and it was on sale at Sam's Club, and I got some the other day.
Yeah.
It was way better than I remember. Now, I had a bunch of goat recently, and I didn't like it as much. But the lamb, I actually really liked the lamb. And there's a thing called the business center Costco's. They're different than the regular Costco's. Yeah. And like ours has whole lamb. You can literally buy a whole lamb in the meat locker.
Yes, I've seen that in
Carnivore. I'm going to go do a video tour of it because like everything is by like the big vac pack, like when you get the huge restaurant vac packs of meat. but they literally have whole lamb and half lamb, and then they have some, I think they have like half lamb cut, vacuum packed, I think also like in a box. And I don't know exactly how well I could process out a whole lamb. I guess I could learn because I've actually thought about getting into meat cutting, but I really liked it. I was actually shocked at how good, because it's one of those weird things. Like I just, oh, well, I'm happy where I'm at. So I always think like one day I wouldn't mind having a nice little farm and just have like a bunch of lamb running around.
Yeah, because I heard one of the lives that you were on, you had mentioned that you were thinking to pursue actually working at Costco
Yeah,
in the meat
I'm
department.
applied
Are
at
you still
Costco and I'm
thinking of
gonna try
that?
to get in. Yeah,
Oh, that's
I'm still got
cool.
application. I got to go up and talk and try to see. I just need to get, just like anything, the other work I had because of the recent whole lockdown stuff. I've been a
Right.
photographer for the last 20 years and my main income was event photography. So needless to say,
Mm.
when that whole medical fiasco hit,
Yes,
events
yes, yes.
kind of went down the drain and
Oh,
it's never
yeah.
recovered enough. And
No,
I'm
that has
also really
not.
loving the YouTube. So now my creativity instead of photography, I've been putting into this YouTube and the channel and trying to grow it and trying to reach out because I love
Mm.
helping people. That's why I taught scuba. There's no money in scuba, but you're taking
Right.
people diving, you're having a good time. And the same thing, like if I came into this for money for YouTube, I would have
Oh,
started a
yeah.
finance channel or a tech channel. You know what I mean? Just
Right,
not a
yeah.
niche to grow big in. But I love
Exactly, yes.
helping the people and I love
Right.
sharing what I know about it. So that's where my creativity is now. So if I can go do that, and I have thought about it, if I could get into the meat department, that could be kind of a fun. 'Cause I'm fine being around a bunch of cut up meat all day.
That would be very, very
I would
cool.
like to know a lot more and learn.
Oh, absolutely. Because then, a lot of that stuff you can do it as a videos, as content at home,
Yeah,
showing all of us all that, creative ways
yeah,
that you're cutting down this meat. That would be amazing. Here we
yeah.
have a
Right.
reference about the dairy. I find milk addictive, and I find drinking a mix of milk plus cream around 15% fat makes for better fat to carb ratio and less cravings. So when it comes to dairy at all, have you noticed depending on what, because I know you said that you use Parmesan cheese. Do you notice at all any cravings or less cravings?
It's yes, like I said, the testing it for the gallbladder, I tested cheeses for like literally the last 2.5 years to try to figure out which ones
Mm.
work. I also just test everything because I want to know, even if I find something that's really good, I'm
Right.
still going to keep testing to try to find the optimum. And then eventually I'm like, okay, this is it. So I tried soft cheeses, different hard cheeses. I tried just A2 dairy cheese and I tried, various kind of other cheeses. And I found out like Parmesan from Italy actually has to be A2s because the cows in the region are all A2s.
All right.
And it has to be raw. And I
Mm.
and I found some raw dairy, not dairy, but some raw Gruyere, I think is how you pronounce it, the cheese.
Okay.
And
Okay. Yeah.
and then I had the stuff, and when I looked into it, and it's the one that works. But the Parmesan is hard to eat too much of. And to kind of tame out the gallbladder and kind of get me continuous, I'm eating
Mm.
like 3 to 4 ounces a day. So quite a bit.
And
Wow.
about
And
how
it's
long have
working
you
really well.
how long have you been without a gallbladder?
I actually lost it about 3 months into the carnivore thing because it started
Okay.
working. It wasn't working
Yeah.
forever. And then it started working. And unfortunately, they said, yeah, it's just so messed up. We can't save it.
Wow.
And I actually went to the Mayo Clinic, which is a good clinic.
Yeah.
They're
Right. Right.
pretty
Right.
good.
Yeah.
And like she said, it's not the carnivore that did it to you. It's that you were so
Mm.
obese and it wasn't working and you just had it so full of sludge and stuff. And, there's, according to them, but at the same time, I'm like, could they have saved it? I don't know. They're saying no way because it was a pretty painful
Mm.
experience. Like, I mean, it was up there on. I'm really high tolerance of pain threshold. Like,
Yes.
I hate taking drugs. I hate Novocaine.
Yeah.
Like, I had a crown done with no Novocaine.
Right.
Mhm.
So that's, like I can get dental work done with no Novocaine. I don't suggest it, but I hate Novocaine more than I do the pain.
Right.
And this
And I
was
can
this was right
confirm
up
that
there.
for you. I can definitely
Yeah.
confirm that level of pain because I had my gallbladder removed in
Okay.
2006. And I had my sons, one was in 2008, which was C-section, and then one was 2017, also C-section. I can definitely tell you it was worse pain having the gallbladder problems and those gallstones than labor pains.
Yeah, I
So
could.
when you say it was intense pain, because I have a
Yeah,
very high pain tolerance as well, and yes, it was horrendous, that level of
because
pain.
I actually they said, "Oh, do you want any morphine?" I'm like, "No, I hate drugs. I hate anything in my
Mhm.
system." And I finally got to the point where like I think I'm gonna need it because I'm gonna pass out. And like I've had a couple bad accidents from motorcycle days because I used to
Wow.
race. And like one where I cracked my ribs off my backbone and messed up my insides pretty good. You know, like that's breaking your bones off your backbone hurts.
Yeah,
You're, and that was still like a 7, and this was like in the 9 territory
I know.
kind of stuff.
Mine was
Now,
probably
I
off
got
the
to ask
charts.
you, how do you do then with a high fat diet and stuff? Do you find issues or do
So
you?
on keto, I did not have any issues at all, like my 4 years keto. But I will say towards like the 3-year mark, I'm suspecting it's possibly like one of the veggies that ended up causing me problems because I started having IBS like issues. So I'm just thinking one of the veggies I was incorporating, my body just kind of got sick and tired
Yeah,
of me incorporating it. Um, at this point, I mean, it's not worth me even experimenting. Like, I'm not uh, hardcore wanting to experiment with any veggies
yeah.
right now. I'm kind of just feeling my very best. But when I started in January, I did start off with triple B and E. I did have the elimination of bacon because the universe apparently hates me as well as my children because we're allergic to piggy, believe it or not. So I did have that as an additional elimination. But the first 3 days, I will say I was BFF with the toilet. After those first initial 3 days, never felt better. It was
Because some
literally
people,
like third day switch literally turned off and I was fine.
who have had it out for like over 15 plus years, I've heard
Mm,
this, like you can almost kind of make this pseudo gallbladder where it was. I've heard that before
yeah,
from
yeah,
Chafee and
yeah.
some other people. But a lot of people said like if they've been over 15 years, they really don't have issues. And since I'm still kind of a new gallbladderless person, I guess, you know,
But
it's
cheese wise,
not
I'm
bad, but
fine.
it's
Yeah.
but the cheese thing works. And like I said, all these other things didn't. And
Mm,
spreading the meals out is just a huge hassle for me. I just hate trying to spread out, and eat a little bit, then eat a little
right.
bit, eat a little bit. So it's odd that that works. And all the other cheeses didn't really work because then I would get issues. But talking about the cheese,
Yeah.
like I put on about 4 or 5 pounds when I eat cheese, and I think it's just water retention because it goes up like a
Mm,
pound and a pound and a half a day.
right.
It just
Possibly,
boom,
yes.
and it feels like that.
Yeah.
And it definitely, I feel it more in my joints. Like I can feel a little more
Oh,
inflammation and not
right.
quite. But the flip side of that for me with the gallbladder situation is the trade off that I'm willing to take. And on that addiction, like I said, you
Yeah.
really good aged Parmesan is pretty hard to eat that much. So by the time I'm done eating it, I really am not even, 4 ounces is a lot of Parmesan.
Oh, yeah. That's definitely
And
a
if I
lot.
and I've tried it, like 2 ounces just doesn't quite cut it, and
Right.
three is kind of on the edge, and I kind of don't like being on the edge.
Mm, yeah.
TMI for people, but you know what I mean. You don't want to
Yeah.
be eating 2.5, 3 pounds of
Mm.
chuck and then oh, I gotta go. Kind of that panic of running off.
So this is an interesting question since you have been carnivore for 3 years. And I know some in the community, they speak on behalf of meat aversion and possibly this very question. Do you ever get tired of the taste of meat? So have you ever experienced getting tired of the taste of meat or experiencing meat aversion at all?
Never, ever. I still look forward to it and just, oh, so good. I love it every time. The interesting thing though, like me living on the islands, I never got that rock fever either. You know, some people move to an island and they
Okay.
freak out like, "Oh my God, I
Right.
got to get off." And I could be there for like, I'd still travel some, but sometimes I'd be there like 4 years. And I only lived in the Caribbean for a year, but I lived on an island that was so small, like 2,000 people and only had one road. Never really cared. So I maybe too, it's just me, but yeah, I love it.
Now they say
Still love it.
if you're tired of meat, you're not really hungry.
Yeah.
You know, if you're not
True. If it doesn't
hungry,
taste good.
right? If you don't want meat, you're not hungry.
Yeah. And that's exactly what this is mentioning here. If you're hungry, meat always tastes great in my experience. There is even a tendency to undereat on carnivore because it's very satiating.
Yep. I think it was, I
Absolutely.
don't know who started the whole phrase of that, you know, like the grazing thing. I think Ken Berry, I've heard him mention it when I had first kind of started, about if you open the fridge door and you're like, "Oh,
Mm,
what do I want? What do I
yes.
want?" You're not really hungry. Now if, and
Nope.
that's why when I did eat eggs before I found out I was allergic to them, I kept like 18 hard-boiled eggs in the fridge, because if I open the thing it's like, yeah, I'll eat the hard-boiled eggs. I knew I was hungry. And that's
Yeah.
the truth on that. And now I just do it with the cold meat. Like I said, I always have leftovers, and I never used to like cold meat, which is interesting. Before this whole carnivore thing, I hated cold meat. Now like I
Isn't it
said,
strange?
I'm just as happy with it or hot. It's not that I
Right?
prefer one over the other. I think I'd prefer hot
Yeah.
meat, but it's still just as good in a different way.
Yeah, you still
Yeah.
can enjoy it because that's
Like,
the same way with me with like a cold steak. Like if I literally had like half of a ribeye, I don't mind like literally eating it cold as I'm like preparing like what my OMAD's gonna be. I will just eat away at half a cold ribeye steak, even with all of the,
yeah,
fat and everything cold on it. It doesn't bother me.
I actually like the chuck like that. I chop it up in pieces and then have just the
Yeah.
fat without much, and then roll it around, and then it dries out with all this like hardened fat on it, and it's really like it's like a little candy coating or something of goodness.
Yeah.
So and the other thing a lot of times too with my leftovers, I don't know if everybody else is, I leave them out for like all day long.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah.
don't necessarily fridge them right away, and I know a lot of people do that, but I don't. I'll leave them out for the day, so by the end of the day, I'll throw them in there at the end.
So Gina has a question here. So you probably can answer this in a more better educational way because you definitely have that niche. What does blue
Yeah.
steak mean?
If you Googled it, you'll see it. It's very rare, like insanely rare.
Yes.
I don't mind steak when it's cold inside. So to me, like an internal temperature of steak at like 105 degrees is fine, which
All
is,
right.
yeah, it's hotter outside. I could just leave it outside here in Phoenix and it'd be 110. So that gives you an idea. So yeah, blue. And then there's a thing called black and blue. And I've had some pictures of my black and blue I make. And that's when you just sear the outside so intensely hot that it almost is, it's not black. I don't like it charred burnt, but it's dark. And then the inside is just that nice deep red. And I love it because it's that textural variance of the two.
Yes.
And then you get these two different flavors. And, you know, in the islands too, the way we used to eat ahi is always like that. They always serve
Oh,
fish
yeah.
raw, or they'll sear the outside of ahi insanely hot and fast
Right. Yeah.
on both sides. And then you have the heat, like you have hot and cold,
Yeah.
and a nice, smooth, creamy texture, and the other more kind of crunchy texture of the crust.
Yeah, because that's where they kind of do all like the poke bowls. That is
Yep.
all just the raw fish. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
the doneness of the steak. So just like you would order like something medium rare, it's
Yeah.
just
If you
referring
went
to the
from
doneness.
well done
Mhm.
to like medium, wherever that
Right.
would be, to rare, blue is like out of the picture. Blue's like below rare. It's like it's like going from medium to rare to then blue is maybe how I would say it.
Yeah. Oh, so JP does have a scuba
Oh, nice.
certification. That's very, very cool. Yeah, it's definitely very
Yeah.
popular here in Florida,
I spent
with
3 months working
everybody.
out of Fort Lauderdale.
Oh, it's very
I don't know
popular
if you
there.
know Fort Lauderdale. There's an area called,
Yes.
have you ever heard of Bahia del Mar area?
Yes, yes.
Right. Yeah. So I worked out of Bahia del Mar area there.
Very
So it
cool.
was kind of
I don't
fun there.
know.
I was
I,
right there on the intercoastal and I lived right
yeah.
there near the boat. So for me, it was just getting up, going on boats, working and doing the thing in that artificial reef program. And then the rest of the time mostly was on Maui. And then, like I said, a year in the Caribbean. And I also spent some time in the Northwest diving and then in Micronesia, which is kind of above Australia,
Yeah.
in a place called Chuuk or Truk Lagoon. It's where 2 years after Pearl Harbor, we retaliated and sank the Japanese supply fleet. So it's all these. So we were diving on, and it's a tourist place, but like
Yeah.
Japanese Zero fighter planes are down there, complete Japanese ships are down there, guns,
Oh, very
tanks.
cool.
Wow.
Wow.
It is wild.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah,
Wow.
That's cool.
so yeah, for you divers, like I don't know, I don't know exactly how many dives I have, but I know one time I kind of roughed it out and probably
Yeah.
over 15,000 dives, which is, a lot of instructors are
Wow.
like that though, that do it full time for a long
That's a
time.
lot.
Yep.
So here we have, I can feel my left side having pain and pressure and whatever. Diabetic T2.
I don't know. That's above my pay grade.
I
Yes.
have no idea how to answer that.
Yeah, that would definitely be a
That's a
Dr.
Dr. Berry
Chafee, a
question.
Dr.
Left side, I
Berry.
know, is
Yeah.
like gallbladder is on the left side like that and stuff too. If I remember that, that's where I had mine. Unless it's something with the gallbladder sludging up and you're just feeling, I'm not saying that.
Yeah, he goes on the
But
same pancreas, I'm guessing.
That's definitely go to the doctor and find out.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's one of
You
those
don't want to
better
let it
be
go.
safe than sorry, exactly.
Well, it's like with my gallbladder, I started feeling the pain and it got so bad. And then I started
Oh,
throwing up. I'm
yeah.
like, yeah, this is wrong. The second you've got pain and you're throwing up,
Oh, yes.
it was like ER time.
That was
Hi,
like with
Susie.
me, it knocked the wind out of me.
Yeah.
Hey, Susie.
Yes, welcome, Susie. Thank you so much for being here. So Susie's saying, I got back from the gym and had some bone broth plus collagen. Now styling the house coat and flip-flops. It's definitely feeling like autumn here. So before you came in, we were actually talking about because Chad is in Arizona. So it's definitely feeling anything but autumn there, I'm sure. Because
Yeah.
what
This
temperature
morning
are
was
you at
nice.
right now?
Right now it's at 100. Like my
Oh,
watch says it's at
wow.
100. But this morning I got up about 6 o'clock and it was 75. But then it quickly heats up. And I know where we're going camping, it's going to be in the 90s, then 60 in the lows for the night.
Yeah, I can't even imagine it. Like I hear stories in the comparison of like the South Florida heat and hearing that a lot of you, if you wear flip-flops or attempt to wear flip-flops, that they actually burn on the pavement. So that's pretty
Here I
intense
still wear
right
them, but
there.
I used to wear them we always call them slippers or slippas. Like that, the Hawaiian term is slippers
Right.
or slippas. You say it like, oh, you slippas. But because we always joke that flip flops are what politicians do.
Oh gosh.
So, but when I first got here, the problem is that sealing that they do, like when they repair the seams, like when
Yeah.
you see, you know what I mean, like the little tar seaming things. When it's like 113 or 115, all that stuff melts and it sticks to your shoes, and it's just a mess. And then I wore the typical local little slippers all the time, the really thin little cheap $4 drugstore ones.
Oh, right, right, right.
But
Yeah.
with all the thorns here, they'd go right through those. It's
Wow.
really, I ended up with the first year so many thorns in my feet because I was used to wearing them everywhere. And I tried to wear them here, like even if I'd go out walking, and it was like, I had to get some thicker ones.
Why do they call it blue?
I think it's, I could be wrong, but I think it was like a French term for it. That one buddy of mine actually from Naples always says, because they go over to France a lot, and I guess it's like this bleu. They always say, "Oh, you're bleu," like this kind. You know how the French would do something, bleu, and he always
My
jokes
husband
about
is
that.
French Canadian.
Yes. Okay.
Bleu.
Yep, that's exactly.
Does he still say it like that, Cindy?
No, he doesn't. No. His parents were.
But you could hear it probably.
Ancestors are from Canada. That's crazy.
We have Keto Simple in the house. Dustin, thank you for being here.
My wife's from Canada.
Very cool. I prefer snorkeling. Been to a lot of Florida springs last summer. Oh, yes. Have you been to the springs here in Florida, Chad, while you were here?
The manatees. That's what's so awesome. I did like the Florida stuff. The springs are awesome.
They're like, beautiful. They're like crystal clear.
Through the stuff. I know my buddy wants me to move down there really bad. You know, he's like, dude, you got to get down here. And, you know, he always coaxes me. He's like, oh, I'll take you out, man. I'll make sure I get you, you know, good steak all the time. And he's a good guy.
Oh, so that's very much autumn then, 69 degrees. Yeah, that's beautiful temperature right there.
Where is here, Susie?
Phoenix area, camping. Lake Pleasant.
Oh, the Splunking would be cool. So yeah, I'm going up about an hour out of Phoenix and then over to the east of the 17 over there, just because it's an overnight thing with, like I said, with the it's kind of the horny toes. Yeah. You know what's funny that's here? Wow. And because we live backed up to a nature preserve where we live, so we have a lot of coyotes through the backyard. We're like one of those people that we actually feed the raccoons here. I know you're not supposed to, but we always feed the raccoons and they all come in the yard. But the javelina, which are like, I guess they're called a peccary. They're not really a pig. They're more like a rodent, giant rodent.
Oh.
But they stink so insanely bad. Oh, wow. I rarely see them here, but then occasionally they'll come out because I have a water dish out behind the fence line for all the other animals that come up. And it's cool because you watch all the coyotes come up and drink out of this watering thing. And the other night there was one out there and it smelled like a sewage or a septic tank that overflowed. Wow. It was literally that bad. There are some funny critters here.
Oh, so Susie's in Pennsylvania. We had horny toads in Oklahoma. Oh, interesting.
I've yet to see a Gila monster, and I want to see those. But
Bible reading bear, happy Friday, everyone. Thank you for being here.
Yes, my husband wants to find Bigfoot too.
Yeah.
Does he follow all that, Cindy?
He's a Bigfoot fan. He does.
Oh, wow. You are telling on Brian all over the place.
That's okay.
Help with me. I got to ask JP, did it taste? Everybody says they taste. Some people, oh no, it tastes good, and other people are like, no, it tastes like rodent meat. It's not. So I'm curious if you remember the taste. After smelling them, I have no desire to eat them. The pig in Hawaii used to be really good because it's all, you know, fresh, natural pig that are just eating out real food, you know, they're real food. And because they're a pest there, they don't want them there. You can hunt them quite a bit.
Hello, Brenda. Thank you for being here. And do they always, when they do the whole pig, is it always like a luau style?
It depends. You know, like you can do the luau's, but like all the locals, we'd usually just, you'd still kind of do them that way or just have it like pseudo, you know, it's not quite as fancy as they would do it, but they do them in a, you know, imu oven, or we'd just do it on the grill a lot. Just big, like 55-gallon barrel drum kind of grill. We used to eat a ton of deer because when I lived on Lanai, the little island off Maui, like we could hunt deer there as a resident, all we wanted, no bag limits, no tickets, no season, no anything. So we used to hunt deer all the time. And then chuckers, which is like I think they're quail or something. I can't remember. They're chuckers and stuff. And we had pheasant on the island. So we would eat a lot of pheasant and chuckers and deer and, like I said, a lot of fish.
Yeah, that would have been my favorite, was the fish.
Yeah. I never even went to
also.
I'd probably go to a store once every 6 months.
Wow.
And that's it.
You had it good on the island then.
Yeah, no, it was nice.
You can definitely get spoiled very easily.
Here's what's funny is the only time I went to a store, and this is when I ate other junk, and I was in my 30s. I'm like, oh, I haven't had Pop-Tarts in forever. So I bought a box of Pop-Tarts, and the ants had gotten into them. All the filling was gone, and you could tell where they just ate out, because I was like, what the heck? There's no filling.
Gosh,
and then I noticed, like, when I opened it, there was probably like 20 dead ants, like in each one, of course, that didn't make it out, whatever got stuck falling over and couldn't get up, I guess. But yeah, that was a pretty bad experience. That kind of destroyed Pop-Tarts after that for me.
Sharon's also speaking on behalf of Arizona. It's quite diverse regarding the climate. Well, we have a lot of love from Arizona. So Joanne, welcome. Hi from Mesa, Arizona.
Nice.
Very
Mesa.
Cool.
So yeah, if you know this area up this way, like I kind of live near North Mountain. North Mountain's my backyard. So I'm kind of on like the east side of 7th Street, that North Mountain.
What exactly is this? The javelina are also very nearsighted.
Javelina. Yeah, they're the ones that look like a pig. If you look them up, the stinky ones I was talking about.
Smell so bad.
They smell so bad, and I know, like, I see them, like, sometimes if you put the garbage out overnight, they come and just destroy the garbage. So I see them, but I've never been that close to them where I'm like 4 feet from them, I guess, to smell them.
Oh, wow.
Because they're usually 20, 30 feet away and running across the road. And I'm sure Sharon knows, if she's heard this too, like, they can get really aggressive on the trail. Like, if you come across them, I know they can, like, kind of get, I don't know, like, charge you and stuff like that. There's been people here that have been injured by them.
Yeah, because funny enough, they actually refer to it here as a skunk pig.
Is that what?
That's what makes sense. It has it like in parentheses. It has.
That's a good
Pacari.
Good name for it.
Pacari.
Yeah,
javelina or
Pacari or Peck. I thought it was pronounced Peccary, but I don't know my.
Oh, I don't know. I'm just winging it.
Correct.
I never knew of them before.
Of that.
Listen, I'm from New Jersey,
I know that.
So
I
my
learned that really quick.
pronunciation already is off the chart.
Yeah. Well, at first I thought, oh wow, I wonder if we can, like, hunt those, and somebody's like, no, you don't want to. Don't want to.
Pit BBQ bury it. Yes. That's definitely the way to get it done.
Yeah.
Hope everyone is doing well. Down 3 more pounds. Feeling so good. Finally lost the sugar cravings. That is amazing.
That's good. Losing the sugar cravings is probably the biggest thing, because then you just don't have that nagging.
That is a huge milestone right there, to have that freedom from sugar, because truly it could be a major addiction. And studies, I'm sure, Chad, you've seen, because I know you cover a lot of different studies in your content, and, the correlation that is made with sugar and a lot of the very addictive drugs out there, such as cocaine. So, that's huge to be able to kick the sugar addiction.
And the other thing too that's interesting is, I'm going to dig into it more, but you've heard that, like, leptin and ghrelin and some of the stuff, and insulin levels going up and down, and how leptin will kind of tell you when you're full. Ghrelin's kind of the trigger for it. And all the food they do with the sugar is purposely that's why is there sugar in sausage? When you pick them up at Costco, almost every one has sugar in it. And so many meats have sugar in it. And I'm like, this is just so you get this false response, I think. There's so
It's
much of
really
that.
discouraging because it looks so appealing, and then you turn it over and read that label, and you're like,
Yeah.
"Why?" Because
And
every
I just
other
don't
ingredient was
bother.
clean. Yes.
Yeah. We have a roadrunner that comes in our yard quite a bit. It's really cool. I like the noise they make. They make this really strange, ratchety kind of noise. He comes up and he eats when we have food left over from the raccoons. He comes sometimes and like looks at it. He doesn't really eat it, but he kind of comes, looks at it. And I think he's looking for stuff. But I did watch him the other day pick up something. It must have been a little lizard because they pick it up and then they whack it. Like they'll whack it against something. And he picked something up off the ground, then jumped up on our picnic table and went whack, whack, and whacked this little thing and then ate it.
That would be really cool if you set up a cam for, like, all these different just wild beings that you have
Yeah.
coming to your yard, because that sounds really interesting.
Yeah. It's kind of fun. Like, I mean, we have a fence so like the raccoons get through and the wild cats get through and the coyotes stay on the other side, luckily. But they're healthy looking. The coyotes here are really healthy.
JP is definitely bringing the chuckles into the chat. I went to Palomino Grade School, Phoenix, went
Yeah.
skinny dipping the first time. Now it's called Chunka Dunkin'. Oh, here we have overcoming carbs. Welcome, welcome. I
Oh,
killed
peccary.
Peccary,
Oh, on Red Dead
Peccary,
Redemption.
and Red Dead Redemption 2. Wonder why they were called that. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. Yeah, I mean, they say you definitely learn something every single day. So that was really, really cool.
That weird.
I never even knew of them before. So that's really cool. Ketopalooza 2023 getting closer. Are you going, Chad, to Ketopalooza?
I won't be because with kids 14 and 19 and my daughter driving around here, we still drive her to college because it's just
Yeah.
insane. And I got to get her a license and get her to do it. But it's
Oh, right.
just life is just too hectic and budget's too tight right now until
I hear you.
I work at Costco, maybe. Then it'll be better.
Exactly. No, I hear you. It
You
was
know?
too little timing for me. Like, I literally took a year off after leaving a toxic job and literally just got a job right almost when it was going to be the year anniversary from leaving the toxic job. So it was just not the greatest of timing to
Well,
kind of get budget
an interesting
together
thing on
for it.
timing too, to
Yeah.
hear kind of a story like, because again, I had started this right when the whole lockdown junk started, and I just had my last, good paycheck. And it was funny enough, it was from a big medical conference I just shot, like a 3-day
Oh,
medical
wow.
conference. And I tried to get everything back, and it's just things have changed. And also, at, my age, I was kind of in this weird thing and I tried to bring it back. And as I healed, I got better. But when I wasn't healed for that first year trying to get work, I also just felt like garbage and didn't really do it. And I'm a very religious guy. So I always say, God has a plan for me. I know it's there. I might not,
Right.
I can't be blind to it. I have to act on things that come up. But I know there's a reason for everything. So when things come up in work, I take it as like, hey, this could be something to kind of go down this path and do it, and kind of had inspiration to start this channel and start sharing my experiences because it's just too good to not.
Right.
I always thought, oh, there's enough YouTubers out there. There's enough carnivore people. You don't need more. But I'm realizing like, even you two, you have your own unique thing that you can share. And even if we can get in with a couple people, and it's not just one person, because you're going to touch way more than one over time. But, because that one could then touch another one. And then, you know what I'm saying? And that spreads on. So you can have this little kind of family
Ripple
tree of things.
effect.
And everybody kind of touches these people. And I did think that too. It's like I've been doing this long enough, and I am one of those people that was lucky enough, or was it I committed? I kind of joke about this. I always say luck's not an issue because I realized I was doing certain things wrong and took measures. I'm like, okay, this is not working. I've got to switch this. I have to stop these pork rinds. I have to stop this. I have to stop this to make it happen. But I hit that goal weight of being back in my 20s and 30s and have maintained it for 2.5 years. And I think that has some experience that people could maybe get tips. And sometimes when I don't include something, it's because I didn't go through that experience. So I can't necessarily give a lot of weight, where like you might have a different experience, on what you can do, because we're both in the same weight loss, and you're actually shorter. So your percentage is much more. So you actually have a more radical story of doing this. And as a female, you can say, oh, this is what I experienced and this is what worked for me so far. And you're still on your journey. And I think that even has bearing, because some people want to hear that future where it goes, and they can look and say, okay. Because I do sometimes, and I say this with very sensitive toes kind of thing or whatever. When you see these people that have been doing it a long time, and if they're still on their journey, that's fine. But when they get on these huge, long weight stalls, I always say there's something going on there. If it's a thyroid issue or something that you really need a doctor check out, do it. But at the same time, if you're making these keto pizzas and chips all the time and having all these treats, maybe it's time to just knock those out for a while. I'm not saying get rid of them forever, just knock them out for a while and pretend you're in boot camp, toughen up, clean up what you're eating, and get moving again. And then say, I'm going to reward myself with this great whoopie pie, I guess they call it. Those things where you mix eggs, cream cheese, and make the layer.
Oh yeah.
And
like the Kelly Hogan
I think
recipe.
Kelly Hogan made them kind of famous, and just say, hey, I'm going to treat myself on my birthday and that whatever holiday you like, Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate, so, or opposite, every 6 months, I'm going to celebrate this and have that. And I'm going to have it with a like carnivore or keto pizza or something. And I'm only saying that for if you're stalling it, if you're saying, I'm upset because I'm not losing. Now, if you're happy on the trail, like me, I was happy on my trail, but then I kind of got unhappy and I just took that turn to make it happen. Does that make sense? To be clear, it's never like you have to do this. But if somebody's going, oh, I wish I could lose more. I wish I could lose more. And then they're eating pork rinds and sour cream. It's like, well, there's your answer.
And it really leads in.
I started in September of 2020 and have lost 105 pounds and maintained that for about a year now. So yeah,
that's
right
awesome.
there.
So we're all in that
like,
same 100 range.
It's like, you do what you got to do. And when you feel good, that's what it's about.
How do you eat nowadays? So you're more keto, right?
I am more ketovore.
Okay. So what's like your typical day of eating?
Like today we had, yesterday I had made some steak bites wrapped in bacon, and I was fasting yesterday. So I ate some today with my breakfast with eggs, and I had bought some, they're called Fox Hill Kitchen bagels that have really clean ingredients. And we tried those today, my husband and I. But typically it's like bacon and eggs or steak and eggs or eggs, and I make the egg white bread and we'll eat that. We definitely do eat chaffles on occasion. Keto chow definitely is in my menu.
Yeah.
But
I've never tried that yet.
I literally lost 100 pounds sitting on my butt doing keto. And that was it. I mean, obviously it's in the middle of the pandemic and couldn't go anywhere, didn't want to go anywhere because I didn't want to get sick. So, I really didn't do anything and lost that 100 pounds. So, to maintain that, and now we go to the gym a couple days a week, we're walking every day. It's like, that's been great.
Yeah, then that's amazing, because that's exactly what Lynn's saying. Over 300 pounds lost on the screen there. Awesome. No, it's definitely really, really cool.
When you think about that, that's a lot. And it's probably with your weight and where I was, you could almost say 330. Probably. And that's the thing. It's like we've all come across different things, different paths, different ways of doing it, different thinking.
Yeah. That's why I said, whatever, you got to find what works for you. What works for you, Chad, and you, Sana, may not work for me and vice versa. I
That
mean,
makes
you
you
guys have
happy.
tried keto. It's like, and it didn't, you know, I was very strict when I started, very strict keto. And I stayed that way for a long time before I incorporated any baked goods or stuff that I baked. So I knew what was in it. And never will I go into a store and buy something that says keto on it
Yeah.
unless I read the ingredients first. If they're pretty clean ingredients, which is a rare find, it's
It's
yeah.
really rare. I know, like we were talking before, like, I mentioned I ride bicycles. I'm still riding, but I used to ride bicycles a lot when I was younger. I had to quit when I gained so much weight. My friends and I would ride an insane amount of miles, and when we would ride, we would be like in a race mode, hardcore against each
Oh,
other,
wow.
constantly pushing each other and racing. There's a lot of people that just get on a bike and just want to kind of casually do like a club ride. And there's some people that get on a bike and just want to kind of ride through the park, stop, get off at, the bench, do whatever. And that's what this is like. I mean, I happen to be one of those really competitive people that I'm trying to find my optimum and be that best
Mm.
I can possibly be at it. It's like me becoming a scuba instructor when I really got into diving. I taught snowboarding for 8 years because I was huge into snowboarding and I just wanted to push it to the most extreme. And being an instructor, you're on the slope 6 or 7 days a week for the whole
Wow.
season. So, when
That's
you have
intense. Wow.
280, say, days or something on the slope, you get
Right.
really good just because of time and because you have an instructor cut pass. There's no lift lines. You just go in the instructor line. And so I am also that personality that wants to do it to the extreme, and I enjoy that. And there's a lot of people that
Yeah.
don't want to do that. And I think
Right.
everybody has to look at that too and know that if I'm saying this is what I do, it's again that optimum result.
Right.
Ron has got to go. Ron, thank you so much for coming. We appreciate
Yep.
you. Oh, so Bible Reading Bear saying, me too, Chad. Once I'm committed, that's it for me. And it very
Yeah.
much is that I don't think the mindset and kind of like the mental healing is spoken enough in the community. Really, truly, I really think that is what has allowed me to just keep consistent. And a lot of people, they would ask me, do you come off plan? Do you slip up? And someone that was really sick, I just can't. At my mentality, my body cannot afford to slip up. So it's not about perfection. It's just, I'm just feeling so amazing. Why would I want to steer away from that? So, Chad, do you ever have moments where you ever come off plan or you ever have any
No, the
issues with
worst
that
it,
at all? Because you have
I'll say
been 3 years carnivore.
I'll say a couple things. Like in the first bit when I got into it, I said the worst I would ever do is fall back to keto. I stayed within the realm, but that was sour cream and pork rinds, but that's not, you can't live on those. So in my opinion, that's a crutch food. You
Right.
can't live on it. Chaffles are good. You can't live on them, but they were good. Like I said, I would do pepperoni and mozzarella for pizza. I would put in cream cheese to smooth it out and then make an eggs Benedict.
Mm.
I would do, different things like bacon and cheddar and then use it as a bun in between two meat patties, kind of an opposite reverse burger and things like that. So that's kind of what I did at first. And that's kind of how I understood that you can do these little crutch things that really help you through. But as far as falling off, no, I think the worst thing I probably did in that first year was once in a while I'd put a pinch of chocolate in cream and then I'd put them in these little teeny 1 ounce molds that are like a
Oh,
tray
yeah.
of 20, that you would put in the freezer, candy
Right,
mold
right,
trays.
right. Yeah.
And then I could pop out like two of those with a little teeny flavor of something if I was really jonesing, and that was
Oh,
more in the
yeah.
first few months from keto. And besides that, no, but also I think it's like you said, you feel so good and it gets easier and easier. And the longer you go, it truly gets easier. But some people still have cravings for certain things.
Right.
And I think sometimes, like if you still have a craving for cheese, but you've been eating cheese the whole time, if you actually just stop cheese completely for a year, you might not really ever crave it again. I don't know, maybe not. But on the falling, for anybody else listening to this, the one thing that I always say is don't worry about it. When you look at the Olympics, the best athletes in the world, how many times do you see the ice skater fall? How many times do you see the skier fall? How many times do you watch other people doing whatever they do? They're falling. Do you think in practice they never fell? If you fall and eat something junk on day 17, and I repeat this all the time, you're still on day 17 and tomorrow's still going to be day 18. So you didn't fall. The only reason you fail is if you quit and back out. If you start up again, you kind of have an idea. Now, if you did something up to day 200 and you fall, who cares? It's still day 200. And if you something happened where you jumped out of it at, say, day 200 and you come back in, you've still got 200 days of experience to draw from. Your bodies might be whatever falls back to, 100 days, 50 days of health and healing. You still have all that knowledge in your head. So I think sometimes too, people give too much like, oh, I failed. It's like, who cares? Again, watch the Olympics, watch any athlete, watch anything that's going on. It's not a big deal because everybody has their kind of issues. And
Right.
like you
No,
said,
that's
that
very
healing and
true.
feeling so good. It got easier. I had temptations. I would try things like I tried like a bite of my kid's Halloween candy, once
Right.
in a while, but I wouldn't necessarily swallow it. I'd usually chew it up and then spit it out, or things like that, or like their pizza. One time I tried it and I used to love Costco pizza. And then I tried it and it was like, whoa, never again, never again. It
It's
was the
funny you
weirdest.
said that because that pizza is really good. But on the other side of that, my husband and I were on vacation, and we stopped at a hotel on the way home, and next door was a Cracker Barrel. And I've told Sonda this story before. I loved their cornbread and their biscuits. And we had ordered our meal, and my husband is a type 1 diabetic, and he does ketovore, whatever. He eats what I eat, And we said, well, let's just get one. So and it comes to whatever. We each got a cornbread and a biscuit. I cut mine in half, slathered it in butter, took a bite, and I was like, nope, nope, both of them. Couldn't do it. I said, keto ruined my taste buds for that kind of stuff. But no, I couldn't eat them. They were horrible.
See, so, yeah. And I always say, when you said ruin your taste buds, I always say, I look at it in a different way.
I was just kidding.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, I figured that, you know what I mean? How it ruined.
Right.
But I always look at it like we now know what they taste like. It's almost like there was that movie, I think in the 80s or 90s where that guy had glasses on and he would see the aliens. Do you remember what I'm talking about? That one movie, and all the billboards were like, obey, do what we say. Do you ever remember? It was kind of one of those weird movies.
I do not.
I'll have to look it up. But
no,
it's
like, not ringing any bells.
Yeah, it's like that. It's we see this now, and now you taste what really is there. Before you're just kind of this like, numb thing that just eats the goo that they're fed, and you don't know any better. And then when you actually have something that's good and healthy and you get all this stuff, your taste buds just become so alive. You actually taste all the synthetics and all the processing, and you taste the machinery that made it, is my feeling. It is interesting how that happens.
It's very true. I mean, not only for stuff that is standard American diet stuff, like this month, I am doing no dairy only because I started incorporating cheese again 4 months into carnivore, and certain cheeses do not have any taste at all.
Yeah.
If it's more like potent type of cheeses, like your sheep or your goat's milk cheese, those I can taste. Like they have very strong flavor profile. But like your cheddar cheese, if I have it like the block or like the slice, can't taste it.
Yeah.
There's no taste at all. Like feel the texture and the creaminess of the cheese. Zero taste. It would
Or it
be
has a
as
taste
if I'm
that's odd.
chewing
You're
on
kind of like,
water. It's like I'm
what is
chewing
that
on
taste?
water.
Yeah.
Basically, that is what it is like. So I know we're kind of getting towards
Yeah.
your crunch time here. So JP's just asking, tell me why I need to give up diet soda.
Read
Were
the
you ever a
ingredients.
diet soda drinker?
Never. I did. No, I drank them, but I was never like addicted. I never, I did drink them, but for me to quit was nothing. I would say give up the diet sodas because, for one, you're told that the SAD diet is the best diet for you, and you're told aspartame or all these other artificial
Right.
sweeteners are fine. I would just say make that correlation of what you're told. Oh, no, they're fine. Yeah, go ahead and drink them, yet they're related to all these other things. So that should be enough right there. And I would just say go
Yeah.
out and look for, like, Costco has that Kirkland brand seltzer water that's
Oh
flavored. There's
yeah.
no
Yeah, yeah.
sweeteners,
Right.
just plain flavoring. And I would just say swap those out. Like the Pellegrino ones are actually really good. They have like a blood orange and something else. I don't drink them anymore, but I
Yeah.
do drink regular Italian water. But I would just say have those once in a while. And I might still get like a case of those flavored ones, over the holidays because it's something to have around. But
Yeah.
yeah,
And
I would say
definitely
the
eliminate,
junk in the diet
experiment.
sodas
Yeah. Experiment,
are
see how you feel, because if you come off of it, you may have a big
the colorings. The
notice.
colorings are not known to be really good for you, and
Exactly. Right.
it's the artificial sweeteners. For one, it keeps triggering, your brain, and that's what my thought is. So yeah, bag those.
So we definitely don't want to keep you because you do have family
Yeah, I got
time
to
that
go
is going to
camping.
kick off right after this. But I always like to give an opportunity if you want to give or share any final words, anything that we possibly just did not touch on during this live. If you have any final words for us.
I think you hit it earlier when you talked about the mental side. I try to hit on the mental side quite a bit, and I say that a lot. Eating steak's easy. It's the mental. It's the breaking the old habits and forming new ones that's really hard. And
Right.
your response to a lot of these foods and stuff is an actual physiology response. With
Mm.
Google up the ghrelin and leptin responses. You're not. You can have all the willpower in the world, but it's hard to. So I would just say research some of that stuff and realize, don't go, oh, I can't kick these, man. This is so, it's like, yeah, well, you can't because it's how your body is trying to tell you to eat and has been going. So just give it time and give it at least 3 months and you'll get through it, because the mental side is the tough side.
It
That's
definitely
that's
is.
my big thing for people is,
No,
you
absolutely. That
know,
was huge for me. I think because I got that right first, um, it made this only that much easier on me that I don't really worry about the food. I don't worry about what I'm missing. So no, that's amazing final words to leave off
yeah.
on, because I think that
And
Right.
lean on the
even
community between, like, even three of you guys, like with
exactly.
channels, like anybody can reach. I think all our small channels that we're doing, everybody can reach out and touch and say, hey, and at least get some encouragement, maybe get some ideas and tips.
So very
That's the
true.
cool
You
thing.
do
This
not have
community is
to feel
awesome.
alone.
This community is
Yeah.
It
awesome.
definitely is. All
Yes.
facets
Hmm.
of it. Yep.
If you are feeling alone on this journey, you are definitely not reaching out. Lean on everyone. Just as Chad's saying, lean on everyone. We're
Yep.
all at different phases of our journey, but some of us, we do have similarities. Even though we are very much different, we still have a lot of similarities. So
Yeah.
definitely, reach out. Bold Carnivore, hi guys, be bold.
Yep.
Thank you so much for being here. All right, so we don't want to keep Chad. Thank you so much,
I
Chad,
got to
for joining
drive.
us.
Go camping.
Yes. And we
Yeah.
truly
Thanks for
appreciate it
having me
because
on.
we
No, it's
did
fun.
have family time planned. So thank you for committing some time to us. I
Yep.
truly, truly appreciate it. It
No,
was
it's
a
fun to
blast
do.
having
And
you
plus,
on
I
with
know,
us.
like, because we've known each other on the chats kind of on and off
Yes.
too, you and I, for a while. And it's like,
Right.
oh, and then,
Yeah,
so
very,
that's
very
always
cool.
fun.
And
And
thank
then
you
I got to
everyone
meet
for
Cindy,
being
which I haven't met
here.
yet. So hello.
Because just like Chad has
Yes.
family plans, I'm sure all of you could have been doing anything on your Friday night. So the fact that you spent a little bit of an
Thanks
hour
so
with
much.
us, we truly, truly appreciate each and every one of you. But we're going to go ahead and wrap this up so Chad can get on to his family time because that is what doing this way of eating is all about, feeling your
We have
best
to go
and
set
being
up a
able.
tent.
Exactly. Being able to live your very best life. So we definitely don't want to hold him up to all that wonderful fun. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for being here, and we will catch you on the next one.
Have a good
Yep.
night. Bye.
Ahui ho. Ahui ho.